I used to carry when I first went to class at pharmacy, and my point for prescriptions was to get years.
Good afternoon, everybody. If you would join Carol. Well, Carol's going to lead us in prayer today. We're not all joining her. Thank you.
We're going to read your minds.
Go for it. Try not much there. Let us pray together. Oh, good and gracious Lord, thank you for laughter. It's a good time. It's a good release. It's a stress reliever, and it's a sign of friendship. And we know, Lord, that it comes from you, and that we need to laugh more. And especially today, Lord, we've been talking around the tables about the various things that we've observed throughout the Olympics that have been going on the last couple of weeks. And some of the things that we have seen are positive signs in our world that the world is good, and that people are good, and that there is no I in Team Lord. There's no I in Team for Rotary. It's about what we as a group do. And we need to always remember that not one person carries the load, but it's each and every one that makes the whole, and we are greater than the sum of our parts. And so, Lord, the other message that we've learned from Rotary is that it's good to be together as a team. It's also allowable to be completely and perfectly human. And so we thank you for each and every one of the athletes and all of the people that have helped those individuals to get where they are today to represent our great country, the United States of America. Lord, we ask that you be with those who are not here today from Rotary, that you allow them to return to us safe and sound if they are away, or encourage them to come back so that our group can be larger and fuller and we can extend throughout the county. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the four-way dress, please.
You're wonderful.
First
Is it truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
I just have to say, Sharon, I do this all the time. I love it. You were like, I'm just going to hunch down because everybody will see over this 1 inch movement. I do that all the time. I'm in the way. Okay, let me just let's go like this. I'm gonna.
So first thing, I just want a friendly reminder. I know we've probably all been getting emails, but they're having that golf outing. It is in at Stonewall Resort. It is a family and friends event. It is more towards fun than going to be meetings. And it is at Stonewall for Friday and Saturday, August 27th and 28th. You can register online. If you have not received the emails, please ask me. I will be happy to forward those along. Just print out a couple if anybody wanted to take those with you. I don't think we have any of our club members that are signed up at this time, but a lot of other clubs in the area are. Brianna was so wonderful to me, and I was so impressed by this lovely letter for us to ask Ace and Busy Beaver if they would be a sponsor or do the donations of the supplies to build those lending libraries. And I just had a couple questions for our group. Does anybody have a relationship with either of the owners or know who those owners are?
What was the first one?
Busy Beaver or Ace Hardware here in Moundsville?
I have a rapport with his hardware.
Would you want to take a letter down, or would you be willing to just share his name with me and I could go talk with him?
Okay. Either.
Okay, thank you, Bonnie. We'll talk after the meeting or whenever it's convenient. And then just wanted to ask, is there anywhere else in Marshall County that we could approach? I mean, I think between the two, I think one would be willing to do both, or at least one would do one and one would do the other. I don't really know of anywhere else that's. Yeah, where are they located?
Right now. Yeah. Like across the road.
Okay. Yeah, across the road. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. and you know, I hate to say this, but through the park, we support those 3 businesses so very much. So I'm hoping that they would as well. So thank you for that information. All right, and then, so the Augusta Libby fundraiser for the blanket has almost come to an end. It will be this Sunday when we're doing the drawing. So just please, 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 if you can, just share. We have raised over $2,000. We're about $500 shy of our goal. This Saturday at 11 a.m. at Augusta Libby is where the drawing will be. And once again, just inviting any Rotarians to come and support. The school was supposed to reach out and get media coverage and do a press release. I haven't seen anything yet, but they have asked me a lot of questions, so I'm assuming, you know, they'll be there. So if anybody can attend, I'm expecting it to only be about a 30-minute event, not very long, not take up your whole day. But if you can be there, amazing, I appreciate it. And if you have a Rotary shirt, I request that you would wear that, just so if we get any pictures or media coverage, I want to support Rotary as much as we can there. And I think that's all I have. We are going to be in the beginning of September just doing a club meeting, just going to discuss some projects and some potential things that might be in the future for the club. I don't want to say changes because they're not really going to be changes. They're just going to be things that could potentially benefit our club and maybe get some more members and spread our outreach. And then, is there anything else that anybody wants to discuss with us?
Where are you going to put the lockers?
Yeah, so we got approval. One is going to go at Grandview Park, right where the trailhead is, because they're planning to do a hammock garden there. So I thought that would be a great spot. You can grab a book and go lay in a hammock. And then I reached out to Rick Healy, and they already have one at Easton and at Parkview. And they had intentions for the third one to be at the riverfront. And I asked if we could support that and do that. He was thrilled. So, so it'd be the riverfront and at Grandview. And what I was thinking, thank you for asking that, because that triggered what else I wanted to say is, I know we were going to potentially ask the wood shop over at John Marshall High School. What are your thoughts here? I was going to say, I don't know if them going to would be too much for them, especially the uncertainty of, is there going to be a school right now? How's everything going to be? Do we know anybody in our club that is handy, that if we had the supplies, they could potentially build it? I can put my husband on the spot and say that.
I think we should let them decide, make that decision.
The school?
Yeah, it may or may not be too much. And giving that out, and like so that it's easy for them to say, no, we really can't.
Okay.
And then have it's good her to have a backup just in case.
I love that idea. It would just be great. I mean, when do they go back to school here? In like 2 weeks? Is that when? So if we
have
can,
a flyer, I can give it to them.
yeah, I mean, this flyer is just for like our sponsorship donation, but I think it would have all the information and we could, okay, wonderful. And I was gonna say, I could even doctor up the Word document and ask the school for it with that way. That would be great. I just don't want to push this past like the winter. I would love to have these in place this year for people to use. Anything else that we want to discuss here? All right, well, I will have the pleasure of announcing our amazing speaker today, Joni, who is the general manager of the Sleep-In, right?
Yeah.
She does everything. But I just want to say, Joni is one of those people that walks in the room and just lights up the room. You always have a smile on your face. You are such a positive light in this world. And
Today, you saw.
I'm showering that positivity so we can just push all that negativity away and not worry about it. But we're just so grateful to have you a part of this club, and I'm grateful to have you as a friend in life. You're welcome.
I told her this was not the day for me to be.
We want the hard brutal
Because I
truth, all right?
But maybe that is the day for you.
I'm happy to be here, and I've enjoyed being part of the Rotary all these years. For many of you, I'm not sure if you know some of my background. I'm actually originally from Fairmont, and only because the fair was just here, I was raised around what was called the Pawpaw Fair. And both of my grandparents were presidents of it. My mom was the beauty queen pageant person that ran it. My dad was the one that did all the entertainment. Billy Ray Cyrus. We had some big names back in the day, and I used to work in the kitchen and thought it was the best thing ever because all the carnival people and people that came during the day would come, and I was always waiting on these people. It was the blast for a whole week every summer. So it kind of brought back memories this year when I've got a girl that works also at the fair here. Anyhow, after graduation, I moved to WVU to become a teacher. While going to school there, I worked summers and holidays at a local pharmacy, and it was called Ryder's Pharmacy. It was a gift shop and a pharmacy. The owner happened to be one of my dad's best friends. And to this day, he still sees me. Now, he's retired. His son has it, but he keeps saying, when are you coming back? We used to have so much fun. It was a really neat experience. That was back in the day when there weren't so many HIPAA rules, and I was even, if I was working in the back, I could count the pills too and put them in the bottles. I mean, you would never do that today. Never do that today. Things have changed a lot. Also, while I was in school, I was part of a reading program for young children who were struggling with reading. And one of my best friends and her mother ran this program, actually the mother did. And Deanna let us run it the second year that we were doing it. So we had probably 25 to 30 students that we were tutoring through the summer. And it was such an awesome, it really got me involved in reading with children. I never did actually go into teaching reading that much, but anyhow, I graduated in '84 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in elementary ed and a minor in special education. I married and then moved to Wheeling. Here I've been ever since. My husband was a dentist in town, brand new. And since I didn't have a teaching job at the moment, I helped in his office. I was a secretary. I probably did everything but do dental hygiene. I was trained to be his assistant, so I was always handling the instruments, so I know a lot about dentistry that I never thought I would. And we actually, the first year that we did, it was the year that Mary Lou was in gymnastics, and we watched it on a little TV in his back office many times because as a new dentist, you're by yourself, you know, so you're waiting for the next patient to call and come. And so that was kind of the start of his career and my stay here in town. I was then offered a maternity leave position at St. Michael's for a first grade teacher and accepted. Some of you may know Edna Taylor. She's from McMecken. She is now teaching there, but it was all at St. Michael's. Actually, there's a group at that school that we're all from St. Michael's. I think there's like 3 or 4 teachers there now. Anyhow, I took that job, and it landed me a full-time job the following year as a second grade teacher. I was thrilled. That was the grade I wanted, everything. I only made, my first year was $8,400. Yeah. And on top of it, I found out I was pregnant. So now it's like, so I managed, I do fine, but he wasn't due until August. So my husband and I decided, due to the fact I was making so much money, and then after daycare, I ended up staying at home, which was, it was kind of one of those sad moments. I finally got the job, and then here I am. You know, it's kind of part of life, I guess. Then 2 years later, Andrew arrived, and then Alyssa 3 years later. So, yeah, so I had 5 within 5 years. I did sub a number of those years. I had a wonderful woman that I would take the kids to, and I would sub, and it got me out of the house. Funny story, I would make $30. Let me see, wait. I would make $30, and for 2 boys, both boys to be there, I had to pay her $25, so it's making $5. So by the time I'm packing their lunches, packing their clothes, everything, it was like, this really isn't quite worth it, I don't think. So I kind of stopped for a couple years, but once they went back to preschool, I continued to sub, and my daughter had a daycare across the street from St. Mike's, which was school to her. Everybody was happy. So I got very involved in the school. I don't know, I'm just one of those people, but I ended up being a hot lunch chairperson. I was the library chairperson. I did homerooms, fish fry, you name it. I did a lot of that. And I really enjoyed it because even when I wasn't subbing, I was still with the same school that my kids were at. And it ended up being a real blessing for me. 1 year, they were trying to get me back. And I'm like, I don't know if I really want to come back full time. But I had all 3 kids. One was in 7th grade, 5th, and 3rd. And they came and approached me if I would do a 6th grade position. It was, the teacher had retired in January, which is a little unusual, but she did. And so I took it. I thought, oh, let me just test the waters, see if it's what I want. But it was 6th grade. Okay, remember my favorite grades were 1 to 3, 6th grade. I ended up enjoying it. It was good. I actually taught my oldest son. I had to do a 7th grade class that he came to. And I was invited to be the department head of the 7th and 8th grade English department. And I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. Like, we're going up, we're not going down. I will tell you that was probably, especially the first couple years were my fondest years of teaching. My oldest son was in my homeroom. The next year, my middle son was in my homeroom. And then 2 years later, my daughter. I will tell you, all 3 years were awesome. My daughter's year was a little rougher. She had an interesting group of friends, or I should say classmates, and they're really good, but things sometimes just don't always, groups just don't always mix well. I actually started the first year taking the kids on a ski trip, and we went to Hidden Valley. I made all the arrangements. The partner teacher with me, the 8th grade teacher, and everybody came. It was absolutely a blast. The kids, I was finding notes all over my desk. There were kids that had never gone, and they were so excited because they were going somewhere and they did something that was completely out of their realm. And I'm on the slopes with them. I mean, it was wonderful. I didn't take my daughter's class, if that tells you anything. I don't know, it just was one of those years. But we did a lot. I always believe that experiences are as important as sitting in class and reading a book or talking and discussing. My partner teacher, who has actually passed away, Jamie Conlon, he was the teacher there in Wheeling Central and a baseball coach. He did not think experiences in class time because he was a math teacher. He was very hard and firm on that. 1 year, and he was a stickler to me. So I took the class 1 year going somewhere, and it was just my class, not his. I come back to my classroom, and Jamie and his students had moved everything in my classroom around. Okay, I'm not very good at jokes. That was not a good joke. I mean, some of the kids, they would have the short seats, the tall, I mean, everything was moved. I went in, I promise you, it was not a good scene, but we remained very good friends. Actually, another funny story of teaching, we always had graduation in junior high. And Jamie was huge into Heinz ketchup. He had Heinz ketchup on anything and everything. So all of a sudden, it's off at his desk. He can't find it. I said, Jamie, I swear, I'm not paying back any trucks. I'm not doing this. I don't know where this went. So we're doing graduation practice. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing this ketchup bottle. All the kids are lined up. This ketchup bottle is going up and down. Actually, it wasn't practice. It was the real thing. Because now I had to go and apologize. And guess who was one of the ones that was doing it? My number 2 son. And that was the year that he did it. So I guess in their mind it was a payback. I was mortified. I'm like, everything's going to be proper. And I'm seeing this ketchup bottle going up and down through with all the rows of the people. Oh my gosh. And that's just some of the fun little things that happen when you're teaching. I mean, it's always a blessing. There are your days, just like anything else. I did retire in 2009 and began working for In Wheeling magazine. I don't know if any of you knew that, but it had only had one issue when I started with issue number 2. It was a blast. I worked 3 days a week, scheduled photo shoots. I would make arrangements for food or whatever it is that we were planning. I did the bills. I tried to get advertisers. I just did a little bit of everything. Proofread many of the articles, mainly when they would go to the events, which they still have in the magazine if you see it, but they'll have, maybe it's a chamber of after hours. They'll have events and then they'll take 4 to 6 pictures of the group, and then they have a little caption. And lo and behold, the names were always misspelled. So thank goodness I was able to usually figure that out. But I really enjoyed it, and I actually dabble in it a little bit to this day. I have a couple advertisers that they let me continue to have, and so I'm always, like Nini's, for instance. Nini's Treasure just got her ad in on Monday, so it's all good. And while I was there, I ended up going back to my husband's office and worked 2 days a week and became his office manager. So 3 days magazine, 2 days at his office. Then in 2013, I needed to change careers. I had to find a full-time job all over again. Hadn't been doing that like that for a long time. So luckily, I was able to convince the owners and management team of Sleeping in Suites that I was suitable to be general manager, which I highly had doubts, but I needed the job and it was perfect timing for me. I truly have to tell you guys, I was petrified. And I know many of you know my dad was part of the owners, but you have 17 owners, so he couldn't make that decision. And they had a management team, so I interviewed just like anybody else would do so. I was shaking like a leaf, hadn't interviewed in years. It's starting all over again. So I luckily was chosen. They thought they'd give me the chance. I went away 2, maybe 3 weeks in Maryland doing training. So they were week-long events that I had to go. I had to pass multiple tests. That was also scary. Just been back at school at my age, But I did a lot of online training for, hours and hours. And then we opened June 5th. And basically, I am the general manager. I'm responsible for hiring and firing, which is awesome. Scheduling all of the employees. I pay all of the bills. I'm the sales and marketing team. I do not have a sales rep or marketing. I'm responsible for making sure that we follow all franchise rules and regulations, and especially for inspections. And I don't know how many of you guys get inspected by like a franchise, but the TV guide has to be in a certain spot. And I promise you, the things that I can't have any extra paraphernalia in the room anywhere. The pillows have to be folded this way. It has to be this far from the pillow to the bedspread. They take each sheet, each top, and they check to make sure, is it a Choice brand product? Is there hair there? We have, I have to have, where our hot coffee and tea has to be certain brands of tea, cannot deviate, has to be this kind of box that has on the tea. I wish, if you would ever look through this, it's mind-boggling. I can have scrambled eggs, I can have omelets, but they can't have meat in them. Eggs cannot have meat in them. If you do, 5 points. It's mandatory. You cross 5 points is the big deal. Have to have it some sort of bacon and sausage. Learning that in the beginning was so crazy because they're just so specific. Ironically, it was better for me when I started learning about that. I learned in the beginning as we were getting the rooms prepared, so I learned it pretty quickly. Of course, they've deviated over the years. COVID's deviated some things for us, you know, it was mandatory, we had to wear masks and you had to have signs. Now the signs are up and I bet they're gonna bring it all right back, you know, but, so there's a lot of rules and regulations that a lot of people just assume I can put anything out in your room. Everything has to have a place and they know it and they inspect it. Let me see, I do all of the ordering for supplies and, now COVID has made things a little different in the hotel business. Some people are doing things differently. I continue breakfast through the whole process. In the beginning, I had this big sign and my daughter and I she helped me laminate all the different items that we had at breakfast. And you would come down with a mask and gloves and you would tell them what you want. We'd give you a tray and you took it to your room. Still had hot breakfast. Then we went from that to we still ordered and we had separated tables. And so we didn't have as many, but you could eat downstairs if you chose. We waited till January to make our final change. And now you can serve yourself, but we ask you to wear gloves. Originally it was with masks and of course now. Do I get some feedback? Yeah, I've got some guys that just do not want to wear the gloves and they're the big deli gloves that anybody can wear. You know what? If they really insist on being a hassle, we just wipe everything off. But that's our way of showing that we're still protecting you the best we can because it is buffet. So that's how we do it. Rooms, gosh, you know, before COVID, if you stayed 5 days, your room got cleaned all 5 days, unless you had a do not disturb. Now, we won't go into your rooms unless you tell us that you want us to clean it. So I have a new doorknob thing that's made and you put it out and you say, I want full service or I just need towels. I need sheets or shampoo. So hour-wise for our staff, we're not doing as many rooms. Back in the day, my girls would do at least 14 rooms a day. Now sometimes it's 5 and 6, but ironically, it takes them as long. As it should. I don't get it, but well, basically they're trying to stretch it to get their time. But you know, today I'm like, okay, they should be out of there by 1, 2 at the latest, and I bet you they're still going to be there. So, you know, it's always a struggle. We do have some guys that will stay with us, and one's a day sleeper, one's a night sleeper. So you can't clean the room because the one guy's sleeping. You can't go, you know, we're not there at night. So we have what we call 4 to 6, 4 to 7. We will go into their rooms and clean. That's probably, it's not hard, but because of vacations, I've got some girls really kind of angry because it's like, we're going 2 nights away. I'm like, it's vacation time. It's not this way all year long. You know, we finally have guests here. Let's not like complain. They're our paycheck, you know. But it, you know, it just depends. Sometimes it's like we'll do one every Monday and Thursday or Wednesday and Sunday, depending on, you know, the cycle. And that makes it a little bit harder, but we try to get into the room at least once a week. Totally get into a room once a week if at all possible. Only because most of these guys are workers and they're not clean workers. So if you don't get in that final clean, I mean, like I've got a group right now that's been with us since, I know I'm going to say at least the 1st of July. They're here to August 31st at the moment. Can you imagine not getting into that room for 2 months? Mm-hmm. And it's one room with 2 beds. So it's healthier for them as well. You know, for us to keep up with it. We also do what we call deep cleans. We try to get into each room at least twice a year, and we take everything off that we can. Some of the pictures don't know, but I mean, all the bedding's completely taken apart. It's up against the wall. We scrub the carpets. We just like a spring cleaning in your own home. Which I'm not very good at it, but we do really well here. But I mean, again, that makes it as clean and fresh as much as we can do so. Now I do have a guy in room 307 that has been with us for 2 years, and we have yet to get into his room to deep clean it. We get to clean it. we're just not, he's one of the ones that we just keep pushing to the next one because he's still here. So we've definitely had some long-term guests. I find that I enjoy most of it. As we were talking today, there's a lot of little things that you just want to say, I can't believe this is happening. But I had guests come in last week, and they're originally from the area. And as soon as I heard their voice, I walk out, and they both, she comes in, hugs me, he comes and hugs me. You get some really awesome people that come frequently, and you just enjoy their stories of why they're coming back, or, you know, they actually were trying to move back here and were unable to find a place. But we share stories, and they know things about the area. Actually, do you know that they put the roof on that gas station up in, and I said, yeah, she said, you know that they have no plans for that, right? I said, I actually just heard that. And she said, well, I'm hearing it's a sheets, it's this, it's that. I said, I've heard all of the above as well. They just put the roof on. It was caving in. There are no plans for that building. They know it. They live in South Carolina, and they know it. And everybody in Moundsville has no clue. So it's just sometimes funny to hear. I don't know. I really do enjoy so many of the people that come through. We had a woman that lived with us. She was a traveling nurse for about 3 years. She traveled from Grubler. She would be with us 5 days, go home for 3, be with us 10 days, go home for 5, and I mean, just back and forth. She'd come in, honey, I'm home, and we'd sit, we'd have lunch, breakfast. You know, so there really are some cool stories, and some of our workers are great guys, you know. Then you have your pistols, and you have your damage, and yeah, I had a room a couple weeks ago, well, it's been a month or so ago. I figure maybe dried some bulb, do not know, there was no evidence, broke a desk chair, broke a light, and then pulled the carpet off of the floor in the, you know how big those closets are, they're real huge, and took a knife and shredded the drywall on 2 of the 3 walls. All from my height down. And my staff calls me up, and I'm like, I get up there and like, what in the world? Like a bomb blew up. I don't know. The knife was in the toilet. Yeah. We never heard back from him. I did get money because I charged his card, and it was out of service for a few days because you can't get anybody to repair anything immediately. But I mean, so crazy things happen. I can't tell you why, how, but it just is. So there's just weird stuff. Every day I go in there, it's never going to go the way I plan it. But I guess part of that's some of the challenge, some of the fun, and some of the chaos. I don't know. My famous saying for being at the hotel is that I always have the red carpet out for you. Carol, you're going to say it's too red. And I actually going to say it's not red enough. But it's there. There's that welcome mat out there every time.
It's the sentiment.
But it's just how the people come in, and some have had really long days, and maybe Ashley doesn't literally have her smile on right away, and they're mad at my staff because she wasn't smiling when you walked in. You've had a really long day. So you're a little agitated because she's not quick, you know. And she's in the same business, so she knows exactly what I'm saying. So it's I don't know. I really have enjoyed it. It's been 8 years. I did go through the scare this year because most of you know the former owner sold it. So I wasn't quite sure I was going to still be able to have my job. And at my age, finding a new job again would be like put me over the top. But anyhow, I've got a really nice young 22-year-old boss. Yes. And he's wonderful. He's been very generous with me. If I'm on vacation, he's coming in, and it actually almost makes me nervous because I never know what's being said to him while I'm gone because I'm not there to protect it. But anyhow, I've always been very involved as well. I've always felt that whenever you're in business, and at that time it was my husband's business here, I feel you need to be part of the community. besides being involved in everything school that came along, cheerleading, football, hockey, you know. I also was in the junior league for a number of years and was a former president. And we have a small group of us that still get together, and we call ourselves the LOL group. We're the League of Ladies, or lots of love, whatever you want to do. But we usually, well, prior to COVID, we've met usually 4 to 5 times, and we make contributions to causes that have really touched our hearts. So it's a group meeting, a friendship, but we also donate. I was also part of the Dental Auxiliary many, many years ago. And then I've been part of Wheeling Symphony. Since I've come down here, I met Linda one of my first visits, and Linda never let it go. Bye, that I needed to be in Rotary. And believe it, remember, I started in June 2013. By fall, I was here.
Good job,
So
Linda.
in
I did
2015, I followed and did what she wanted, and here I am, a former president and all the good stuff. I also was a member and former president of the chamber, and that happened all at the same time. Then now I serve on the Greater Brownsville Convention Visitors Bureau, which I enjoy a bit. So those are just some of the things about me, and that most of you know, I have 3 grandbabies.
Yeah, we may
And
have
one
heard
on
that
the
somewhere.
way.
That's your favorite job.
We may have
I
seen
can-
that on Facebook
That's
somewhere.
my favorite. Yeah, you look on Facebook, you can find. I got pictures. I got pictures. So anyhow, any questions for you guys?
Joni, when they come in to inspect you, you've got like lots of rooms. Do they just pick random ones, or what about the people that like your guy that's been there forever?
Okay, what they do, they want vacant rooms. Okay, so if he's in there, his room will never be shut. Yeah, exactly. Normally what they will do, or every time that they've come in, let's put it this way, they've usually arrived, say like tonight. We have no idea who they are. They'll spend the night, they'll go to breakfast, and again, stupid things. If I have apples, I have to have bananas. If I have just 2 fruits, I have to have apples and bananas. If I have apples and oranges, I don't necessarily have to have bananas because I've already, it's complicated. So they come down and they eat breakfast and they check out the breakfast. Then they'll come about 9 o'clock to the front desk, hand the business cards to my girl and say, I'm with LRA and I'm here to inspect. And then if I'm not at work, I get this panicked call. They're here, they're here. So I'm like 5 seconds away, I'll be right there. So they look at things, we'll go over to breakfast and they'll count. And another thing, they want butter to be refrigerated. But I have people that like it warm. I'm one of them. I lose a point every time because I butter both places. I'm not allowed to have butter out. Okay, it's 1 point. I mean, really, it's 1 point. That's how. But they will go through, and if I've got bananas, and I've always told the staff, make sure there's bananas in the back. Never, ever put the last one out. Because they'll say, well, you don't have any more. Oh, yes, we do. We just haven't replenished it. Boom, we've got bananas. Doesn't say you have to have 10, just 1 or 2. So I've kind of learned some of those tricks, but they want to see vacant rooms. Now, if I'm sold out, I don't have any vacant cleans, so they'll go up to the room. After we go into every room, they check everything. In my fitness room, I've got a couple of these tiles, and the guys will let the weights bounce, and so I've got divots. But we've painted them. They're just divots in all those points because there's divots in them. Oh yeah. No, it's painted, but there's divots. Again, 1 point here and there, those are little things. It's when they get serious about certain other stuff, you know, like the wrong pictures are there. And so you have to get waivers because that was when they built the place and they put the wrong pictures. So I have to get waivers to say, it's okay, we've approved it. We know it's a mistake, but it's not her mistake. Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole farce, but they go into usually, back in the day it was like 4. The last time they went in, she insisted on going into 7 rooms. I'm like, okay. Now it would be easier because I do have what we call vacant clean rooms. I'm not sold out. So they would immediately be able to go. But my concern is I didn't inspect those rooms. You know, I have people to inspect. Our rule is my housekeeper goes in and cleans, and then I have a supervisor that goes and inspects it afterwards. That way, oh my gosh, if you do a bunch of rooms, sometimes you forget to look in the refrigerator, you know, because they're all the same room. I mean, sometimes, yeah, I mean, there's a king or two and a suite, but you do kind of get in a routine. Even myself, when I go and inspect, I literally do the right. And I go and I touch this, and I look at that, and I'm looking here, and I'm looking, I touch the AC, I look at the beds, the lights, pull the drawers. I mean, like, I have a full, but if I do the rule of what I call right, I do the same thing in every room. So they'll inspect, and if there's dust in one, like the AC may have a dust, that's a deduction. Hair is huge. We've always been pretty good with not finding hairs. You know, they look for everything. And now condition's a problem because we're older. I mean, you know, I'm old too. Condition isn't real good with me now. But you know, now you've got somebody's hit the wall, and so you know, try to go over and paint it and keep it as fresh and new as you can. But if there's a spot on the carpet, they'll mention it. You know, we are not replacing the carpet for that one little stain right now. Is it clean? Yeah, totally. We've tried it. They're big on spots. On linen, you know it's clean. But if it's a spot, you're going to go to that room and you're going to say, man, that sheet was really dirty. Well, if it's clean, we can't get the spot out. You wouldn't believe the amount of linen that I get rid of probably 2 months. Every 2 months. I've given it to the youth service, the big blankets. Taken them myself because I don't have anybody to come get them. Appalachian Outreach has taken on. They usually are my biggest people that will take it because they'll come and get it. When we had our homeless shelter here in Moundsville, we were able to give them a bunch of linen and towels and all of that kind of stuff. Sadly, it's good stuff. Some of it's like very old, but it just has a spot that I can't get rid of. And because honestly, if you would go and you'd see something on the bed, you'd be upset it's dirty. And it really isn't, but it is because I can't get the spot. So, but they go into vacant. So if they're not ready, we have to go later. So they'll sit all day.
How many inspections do you have a year?
When I first started, there were 2, but it's one inspection.
But you have no clue when it's going to be.
No clue. No
What if
clue.
you're on vacation? Like, what if you're in Aruba and you get that text?
A lot of times, I have been told that sometimes you can talk to, and I don't know who I would call, probably my choice agent, who is my guy. I always call them, my counselors. They're not. They help me. I can always let them know, and they can let LRA know that this week probably isn't a good week to go. I've never done that. They've been fortunate that they've never come. But,
What about the Comforters Hotel? Did they ever get, you guys change them?
yes.
So I always think the Comforters, they never change it. It's like literally every hotel I check it and put it in the closet.
I'm not going to tell, and I'll be very honest with you. If say we had 69 rooms,
Okay.
and all 69 checked out, I would never be able to get them all back on bed, and I don't have enough storage to have an extra 16, and actually there'd be more because queens you get 2, so I've got 40 queens, so there's 80 right there besides your king. We wash as many as we can on a regular basis. We know which ones we have so that if we've missed, we weren't into 205, it was clean, that's going to stay one night, there might be a chance that that's going to stay on there.
I imagine most hotels don't.
Most hotels, very honestly, cannot keep up with that on a daily basis. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if we notice any spot whatsoever, I know there's other things that you can't see, but we do as much as we can to keep up with that on a regular basis. We just don't have the storage or the ability to get that all done in one day. You have two washers and 2 dryers. So, and when you've got a sold out, and everybody's checking out, there's sometimes we'll have 40, 50 checkouts. Wow, those are fun days. Those are fun days. I'm on the floors, I'm making beds. Everybody was pitching in. Any other questions? Well, thank you. I'm really excited.
Joni, thank you so much. Very interesting. I definitely can relate to
Yes, you can
most
relate
of that.
Exactly.
And just want to say thank you and how wonderfully you ran Sleep In. I know at Grandview, we always refer our guests to you because we know that they're going to get a great stay and great customer service. So thank you so much. Everybody have a great day.
Gosh, you touched the spot.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, when you were paying attention.
See, I don't even look at the time.
What time is it?
I like this.
15 after.
Oh, gosh, well, see, you were interested.
Well, I don't know.
I know you told me that you were Mama shaking us, that you were a teacher, but I didn't realize that was basically your whole life. That's what you did. I thought maybe you taught for a couple of years and then got into the general management industry. So.
See you next week, same time, same place.
Same time, same place.
Yeah, I figured I'll skip her a call. Going right out of the
So did you have a good vacation?
I didn't want to back to work on Monday. Any better?
And you feel like you're being punished, right?
It was like the revolving door of complaints.
Still fatigued.
By noon, I was, I need the vacation.
You know, I used to always say,
Oh, yeah.
you get punished before you go because you gotta get
I'm gonna
everything
get it all
done.
done.
And then you know when you come back, you're gonna be punished.
I forget
to end this.
I got home on Monday and Jason was like,